Welcome, everyone, to Heart and Mind. Oh, my goodness. This is the place to be tonight. Okay. It is episode 32, where we continue our discussion of why are people woke. This is part 3. Ooh, lots to talk about. So let's get started. And keep in mind, spread the word. We live stream every Tuesday night. If you sign in on X, Daily Cloud, Facebook, the Daily Cloud page on Facebook, on Rumble, you sign in and you can actually comment, ask questions while we're on the air. Now, keep in mind as well, these shows are recorded. So if you go on any of these sites, look down on the bottom, Daily Cloud, Rumble, X, Facebook, Getter, you can watch again. You can show someone else. You can watch in order or something that you've forgotten or you wanted to refer back to. But we're live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And as you know, I often have my friend Melinda join me from Australia, where it is 10 a.m. in Queensland. Now, I am a social psychologist, and yes, I have to repeat this because we get new people all the time. And me being a social psychologist matters. I am not a clinical psychologist. I don't have people sitting on my couch talking about, this is how I feel about my upbringing. What I study, what we study, is how people learn, how we're influenced, persuaded, manipulated, coerced, indoctrinated, and brainwashed. Why do I always have the evil scientist picture with this? Because we don't just study what happens. We experiment to see how people can become more effective. A lot of social psychologists, I would even venture most social psychologists, are on the dark side. I walk with the angels because I want to point these things out and show you how it works. And that's one of the reasons I take the time to put visual imagery in slides. There's something called a visual superiority effect. If I talk about a topic and show a relevant image, you are significantly more likely to remember the information, especially in the part of the brain that's activated during heightened circumstances. So when you're emotional, when you're angry, upset, when you're fearful, I want to make sure this isn't just a show that where I brag about what I know. I am sharing this information with you so you can use it and improve your life. Now, speaking of knowledge that can improve your life, please get your own copy of the Pfizer papers. So much work went into this. And you can support Daily Cloud's historic efforts at the same time. It's available on Amazon and contains the latest analysis of the Pfizer clinical trial documents. You know, all that information that they wanted to keep secret for 75 years? Yeah, that's the stuff that is available on the Pfizer papers. So do yourself a favor and get your own copy. Now, prepare yourself. I hope you have popcorn because this episode is going to be juicy. We're going to be talking about why are people woke, part 3. You absolutely need to know this. And I was talking to someone earlier today because we have been dealing with the woke and woke domination for more than 20 years. And they have oppressed and suppressed anybody who wasn't woke. But with the election in 2024, we took our country, our culture back. So they've moved from being ignorant, difficult, oppressive, suppressive, to actually being violent. So understanding them is crucial. So if you need a drink, if you need to get some popcorn, do it now. We're about to get started. It's spring. One thing that hasn't changed, though, with the seasons is my focus on my well-being. And we all know one of the foundations of well-being is a good night's sleep. If I could do just one thing to improve my sleep and overall well-being, it's taking the number one mineral for that. And it also helps me with focus, stress levels, and mood regulation during the day. Yes, I'm talking about magnesium. Specifically, I'm talking about the magnesium breakthrough by Bioptimizers. The 7 different forms of magnesium in this supplement are involved in over 600 different biochemical reactions in the body. Pretty much every function in your body gets upgraded when you take magnesium, from the quality of your sleep to your brain function, from metabolism to stress levels. As things continue to change at high speed, we all have to keep up, and so do you. Can you do that without a good night's sleep and something to moderate your mood? Do yourself a favor and make magnesium breakthrough part of your daily routine this year so you can get the vitality you need to meet life's challenges. Go to bioptimizers.com/dailyclout now and enter the promo code dailyclout to get 10% off any order. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and those wonderful free gifts, you'll make sure your monthly supply is guaranteed. Again, that's bioptimizers.com/dailyclout using the promo code dailyclout. Okay, popcorn in hand, drinks ready. And I'm hoping my regular people, where Roscoe, if you're here, put a comment. Roscoe always comments. If you have a comment or a question, don't just sit there and wait. Oh, by the way, speaking thereof, I am considering this topic is so hot. I'm even putting the information together. I expected this to be one episode. I got started researching and writing. I had so much material. That's why I broke it into 4 different episodes. I am now talking about and thinking about setting up a space on X where we can have a get together and everybody can talk back and forth. I'll probably have my friend Melinda join me. If you want to join, that's free. That's fantastic. Hey, Roscoe's here. That's nice to know. We will be doing something on Spaces so that we can dive deeper. And if you have a question, if you want to be on the show, let me know. We have enough space for 10 people to join me. And if you have a lot to say about this, if you've gone through something, if you have a question for me, guess what? If you hire me, I am very well educated and trained, so I'm expensive. I'm worth it, but I'm expensive. Here's a way to get the information for free. So today, what are we going to talk about? Here are the key questions. What are woke skulls? Why do they do this? They seem hell-bent, sorry for the use of a cursive word, they seem hell-bent on destroying us, okay? How do they use language? Now, this is really important. I talked about the visual superiority, but language is also important, and it can be a very effective manipulative tool. What kind of people are more likely to be woke? Now, we briefly covered it in the last episodes, but we're going to dive a little deeper today. And what do you need to know? We're going to cover that today. We're going to cover it next week. First of all, let me just say, the goal of wokeness, they talk about inclusivity and acceptance and tolerance and all of these nice little labels. But if you actually look at what they promote, what they applaud, what they pay for, what they support, they want a society that's self-centered, consumerist, sickly, mentally and physically, and most of all, they want a society that's easy to control. So what do you think about that? Take a second. Thank goodness. Trump is fully in the process of draining the swamp, but the uncertainty for many is, will he expose the entire pandemic? There's enough public evidence for people to be concerned. Millions were injected as part of this experiment. If you were forced to get the shot to work, travel, or maybe you just trusted the system back then, check out this natural solution formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the Wellness Company. And they just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently consolidated into one capsule with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, and 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase, an enzyme researched for its anti-clotting effects, may work to break down those spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. Crafted with 100% natural ingredients, Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research, offering effective support for your cells' natural repair and recovery. Now you can experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. Peter McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to dailyclouthealth.com and use the code DailyClout to get 10% off plus free shipping. Again, that's dailyclouthealth.com and use the code DailyClout to get 10% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling. Well. As we talk about what woke does, I don't know if many of you have really thought about the woke, because it's been such a normalized part of our culture for so long. And they have been extremely deviously clever, pretending to be magnanimous. You know, a lot of you saw when we had the floods in North Carolina that a lot of FEMA people were given permission not to help people or stop at houses that had Trump signs. Well, I want to tell you, as a Trump supporter, I'd be at risk if I stopped at one of these places. Now, in this case, I can go in mufti, as they call it, because I'm a Black woman in braids. As long as I didn't say anything, they'd be, oh, wonderful. They'd feel so good about helping me if they asked me any questions and I told them who I am and what I believe. Oh, golly, it would be like one of those movies where you end up in the backyard under the porch somewhere. They claim all of this, but people with signs like this are some of the most hostile to anyone who doesn't share their beliefs. And Roscoe makes a comment about Sam Smith. Sam Smith has the most wonderful voice. And he says when he started, versus now, he was a normal gay-looking kid. Lizzo, when she started, did not flaunt her fatness. They were encouraged to be strange as possible. We've talked about that. It's really quite ridiculous, but we're going to talk about why they do that. It's actually pretty smart. Woke claims they're magnanimous, but they are brutal towards anyone who questions or defies the narrative. And here we have some examples. I don't know if she means Trump or Elon. A lot of you probably saw that video with the woman screaming with this hoarse voice, because it's like she's been screaming for a long time. You just have to kill him. I didn't post it because she uses too many expletives, and I try not to use bad language. But here she is talking about you have to kill them. You have to kill them. Now, if she had been Republican saying that about anybody in the Democrat Party, she wouldn't just be in jail, she'd be under the jail, okay? And what about the dozen or so conservative leaders and influencers who are being swatted? Now, all of you know what being swatted is, right? But I'm just going to briefly explain for some people who perhaps aren't in the US, because I have some UK people who actually, with insomnia, who watch the show as well. It's when you call the police claiming someone is murdering their family. So the armed police show up. And if the person does one thing wrong, there's high likelihood that they will get shot. So it's actually attempted murder. And it's been going on for months. We have a new Department of Justice. They need to take brief action. And when Melinda gets here, we're going to talk about all of that. They are such hypocrites, claiming to be so kind, but if you don't believe like they do, they are so willing to hurt you financially, emotionally, physically. What is that? And I mentioned this last time. I'm going to mention it in all 4 episodes, because next episode I'm going to be arming you with rejoinders, with shields. You know, when you have those woke people at work and the woke people in your family, and they say something, I want you to have a quick answer to what they say. I want you to be able to talk about why they're wrong without going into a lot of deep detail or saying, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. That never works. Pathocratic subversion of society. And if you want somebody that really breaks down how pathological wokeism is, please, if you're on X, follow JD Haldigan. It's just JD Haltigan. He's on X. He puts up some great information, reminder information from articles I've read, things I learned in grad school, including pathocratic. You want to know about someone being pathocratic, and you want to be able to tell your relatives, this isn't really helping people. This is pathocratic subversion of society, where a small pathological minority takes control, often characterized by the perversion of moral values, and the use of coded language to manipulate and control the population. And we're going to talk about some of that language today. And I know my friend Melinda, who will be joining us, has some opinions. Roscoe and anybody else who wants to chime in, I'm sure you're going to be able to provide something. So are you guys ready to really get into this? Give me a minute and let's go into the heart of this. You've heard me rave about how much this product has helped me. What about you? Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain or stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and type 3 collagen fibers, the 2 most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. Found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut, types 1 and 3 provide maximum benefits without the need for unnecessary fillers. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. Its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily and mixes perfectly without clumping. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice. Plus, they offer an 800 number for any questions about usage, recipes, or ingredients. And you'll speak to a real person ready to help. If you join their private Facebook community you can share success stories, recipes, and support each other in this journey called life. Visit getnativepath.com/Daily Cloud and start your transformation today. That's GETNATIVEPATH.com/DAILYCLOUT. Okay, we're now going to get down and dirty. We're going to talk about it all. And quickly before we do, Roscoe asks, how do formerly normal, middle-of-the-road Democrats go for this stuff? They go for this stuff because of the boiling frog analogy. Little by little, they get pulled further and further into the extremes. And we talked about last week how punitive the left is. If you go against the narrative or even ask questions, they come down on your head from a great height. So a lot of people just figure it's just not worth it. I'll just be quiet and go along. What we're seeing now is a lot of people are seeing that there's another way of living, and they realize you can't be halfway in with these people. That's the problem with extremists and cults. They don't let you invest halfway. You've got to be all in or nothing. Now, we're going to talk briefly about language, and we're going to talk about how the woke is like 1984. So I'm joining us is successful author, talk show host, and influencer joining us from Brisbane, Australia. We have Melinda Richards. Hi, Melinda. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Good morning for me. Good evening for you. How are you, Dina? How's it all going?
Oh,
I love this topic.
It's tough because we have a lot of stuff.
I love this topic. I love this topic. You know, this is something that I've been talking about for so long. So I'm just sitting here, and even when you were introducing me, I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm so embedded in what you're saying. I mean, this is just so important because everybody around the Western world is really starting to see that extremism is not the way that they want to go, and that's crept into their lives. We've allowed it to happen. And now, everyone's asking, is it too late to change course? And I guess the positive thing about all of these shows that you're doing is that this knowledge tells us that it's not too late, that we can get our core values back.
Absolutely. And one of the things I have collectively Craig here talking about no vaccine, no entry. That's what a lot of us faced during the COVID pandemic. I know that I was in Melbourne during that time, which had the harshest lockdown in the world. And there were so many places. I even went to Office Works, an office store. I called beforehand. They said, oh, yeah, you can come in. The next day, I'd forgotten something, went back, and they said, oh, no, you have to stand outside. So there were so many things that we couldn't do. It was so extreme. And with a lot of people in the MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement, they are not saying you can't get vaccines if that's something you want to do. What they're saying is we want real transparency about whether they work, how healthy they are, what risks we're taking, and we don't want anybody to be forced. That's what's going on there. Now, but of course, wokeism changes the definition of everything. They told us this is safety, this is protection, this is us helping you. As somebody who sees all of these tactics, you know who has a real advantage in this situation? My audience, the people who have had my training, my in-person training, read my books, because the tactics are so similar to what abusers use to lure in their targets that they were all like, wait a minute, why does this seem familiar to me? Yes, because it's manipulation. Somebody's trying to take control through manipulation. Look how they present Trump. And again, please keep in mind, saying Trump is Hitler. How many times over the years have all of you heard people say, if you could go back and assassinate Hitler before he came to power, would you do it? And everybody always says yes. So by saying Hitler, that Hitler is like Trump and Trump is like Hitler. I even saw a show, I mentioned it last week, where they were talking about the Berghof, where Hitler used to go to relax. And they said, oh, it was like Mar-a-Lago. Putting it in people's minds, again, that Trump is like Hitler. And look at this. Burn a Tesla, save democracy. Deport Nazi must. And we've seen all over our news feeds about, especially if you follow the news on X, you can't get real news off regular TV, folks. You just cannot. But if you follow on X, you see so many people being vandalized. They've actually had stores burnt, Tesla stores actually being burnt down, terrorism against Tesla, because Trump gave Elon Musk a remit, which he decided to do for free, to find all the fraud and waste in government and get rid of it. He's finding trillions of dollars of waste. That's great. That's our tax money. But the people who were getting benefited by the fraud sicked their flying monkeys on everyone else. And it's, Melinda, I want to know, don't you, and audience, don't you find it interesting that so many Tesla owners are actually Democrats and left-wing people?
Look,
so they're attacking their own.
Yeah, the thing that everyone, I guess, on our side of the fence is laughing at, and we shouldn't laugh at it really, because it's serious and now it's escalating and it's becoming violent, as you said. But I'm sorry, it's almost hilarious that they are absolutely attacking their own. You know what I mean? It's like they're eating their own, because somehow there's a mindset that has changed 180 degrees on a dime. Are the woke crowd so easily manipulated and such followers and so unable to critically think about anything that they will suddenly go from applauding a Tesla owner to keying their car and firebombing their car and are they so it's almost like this is the cherry on the icing of the cake. The Tesla burning and the Tesla keying that's going viral now, it's almost like everything that we ever said about wokeism has come to a head, because it's the ultimate in stupidity, ridiculousness. It's the ultimate in hypocrisy.
Indoctrination. This is indoctrination 101. And one of the things, because we're gonna go and talk about why these people behave the way they do, but I just think it's interesting how they will quickly change the definition of who's on the right, the side of good and who's on the side of bad. Again, with Trump in the middle, you have to realize he was extremely popular in the Black community until he decided to run for president as a Republican. And then a lot of Black leaders came out and said he was a racist, and they have followers. Most Black people will just take on anything their leadership tells them. Oh, okay. I have a sister who's well educated and teaches critical thinking at a university, but was calling ivermectin horse dewormer because she was told to call it that.
Yes,
and how can you teach something you don't even know? Yeah. Now, let's talk again about how woke is like 1984. I noticed this 20 years ago. Okay, I'm aging myself, but thanks to my collagen, it doesn't show. Do you see wrinkles? No, and Melinda can tell you don't see them in real life either. Okay, I'm
very jealous. It's true, everyone. She doesn't have
okay, but aging, but looking at this, I'm aging myself, but 20 years ago, I was noticing how woke is so depraved. So on the left, we've got a popular thing, baby drag queens. So we have these little 9 and 10 and 11-year-old boys dressed like drag queens doing sexual dances at gay clubs for men and getting money thrown at them. Next to that, we have an artist who became quite well known for just having a simple phrase repeated over and over again: F white people. Oh, is she white? Yes. Okay. Self hatred is big among the woke as long as you're white. Then we have a pride parade. Now, this mother should be ashamed of herself. That is like a stuffed penis. And she has her little girls holding it. And then we have the little Nas at the Emmy Awards a couple of years ago. In his so-called dance, he's emulating getting sodomized on stage by a demon. Yeah, this is a righteous cause. And the thing is, people pay attention to how they're supposed to react. As long as the leadership just nods and goes along, the average person who's woke feels like they have to accept it too. Now, let's talk quickly about language, because we're going to, as I said, we're going to do this next week. And please, if we have spaces, come and let's talk about it. I want you people able to go up against your relatives, go up against the people at your job. Trump won the election by a landslide. The woke are not in charge anymore, but they are clinging on with their talents and are not giving up easily. We have to confront them. We cannot be passive anymore. Well, I never was, which is probably why I lost so much work. But anyway, we cannot be passive, and language is so important because the language part of our brain, we talk to ourselves. And so how we're talked to is often how we talk to ourselves, and we'll convince ourselves of things. Recipients of language, it's a key tool of influence and persuasion. They're spurred to act and think a certain way. Misattribution. If you follow my work with my unmasking and the abuser work, you know misattribution is one of my tactics, where you'll have an abuser change the definition of what something is, change the name of something. I'm not angry, I'm passionate. I'm not controlling, I'm protective. The woke does the same thing. It's spin. And being alert to this can provide you some protection if you see it and redefine it in your mind and don't buy into it. And you're wary of whatever source is trying to brainwash you so you avoid them. You can protect yourself. And I found a quick article that you can read. It's by Viviana Macia, called The Art and Science of Manipulative Language. You can find it from American Scientist online. It's behind a paywall, but it's not very expensive. And if you just want some basic information on that, great. Or you can listen to my Unmasking the Abuser podcast, which is free. And I'm going to be talking about some of this. In fact, this week I'm doing one tomorrow, and I'm talking about, I avoided this, but I'm actually talking about, is being woke, does that make you more vulnerable to being in an abusive relationship? I've avoided mentioning it, although it's true, but we're talking about it tomorrow. But if you go to my Unmasking and the Abuser podcast, you can get a lot of this information about manipulative language. But let's talk about a little bit here. And Melinda, pipe in, and all of you, Roscoe, you always pipe in. Collectively, Craig, anyone else, sign on. If you're watching this on X, sign in and you can leave a comment or question. Same on Facebook. Go to the Daily Cloud page on Facebook and you can sign in. Rumble, it'll all come to me and I can see it. How woke is like 1984. And George Orwell, who was a genius, said, but if thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt thought. And I included one of Melinda's favorites in here. So we have white silence is violence. You saw that a lot during the Black Lives Matter movement. So what they said was, you actually have to declare you're with us, which has a powerful impact on your brain, by the way, and they knew that. Because we see you not talking about it or not declaring yourself, not just as having questions, not just even opposing us. We're going to call it violence. So if we're violent against you, that's self-defense. Evil. Trans women are women, not in any universe, okay? But having this said repeatedly, so many people who are easily influenced are afraid to say anything else. They keep calling men she if they say, "Oh, I identify as a woman, so I'm going to call you she." No, we don't change the universe for every delusional person. Sorry, no. Melinda's favorite, love is love.
Oh, now that's the one that's the that's a big one, isn't it? Because of course
Sounds
this is the
good.
one that's related to children. And when you actually unpack love is love, and then you look through all of the things that's being attached to, it's it's really, really hard to comprehend how evil this particular phrase has become and how it's being used. And I encourage everyone to go out and have a look at where love is love, and what that's actually being attached to. But of course, looking at all of these phrases is it's just, what we're doing is we're trying to turn the ridiculousness into something that's normal, to fit in with mental illness and depravity and things that are everybody else's business. It doesn't need to be your business as well. And it's the bullying tactics that I find this sort of language a form of bullying and coercion. It's exactly what you were saying, Dina.
And here we've got some newspeak, and I saw, Melinda, on your side on X, I saw you talk about some of this. I have a couple of slides with some newspeak. Racist. It went from being someone who consciously dislikes, disrespects, or even despises other races to just being white. Okay. Anti-racist, if you look at what it means in how it's enacted, it means anti-white. Feminist, anti-male. That's not how it started off. It was like women and men should be equally respected in society. It quickly morphed into toxic masculinity and anti-male, and you see the women with the ban white men sign. And they get a lot of accolades among their own for that kind of an attitude. A fascist is anybody resistant to the woke. So it goes from being someone who believes in totalitarian system and genocide to anybody who stands against the woke. So they will call you a fascist if you stand up against them. And here's some more woke newspeak. What they call love, what the woke call love, is sin, kinks, and deviance. They never call actual normal relationships between people love. That never gets that wonderful word attached to it. Diversity equals no straight white people need apply, especially men. Tolerance, suicidal empathy. Follow Gadsad, read Gadsad's books on this. We've had suicidal empathy in the West since the 1960s, where we have used the word empathy and compassion and tolerance to actually purposefully destroy our society. DEI doesn't just mean didn't earn it. It's promotion of the underqualified. They don't just give an opportunity to somebody who's really good who may not have gotten a chance otherwise. No, they get someone who under normal circumstances would never be given that job because they're not qualified to do it. Of course, that person is grateful and easily controlled. Privilege. They call anybody white privileged, they call anybody Western privileged, and they hope they make you feel guilty because they use it as justification for discrimination. And now you get to the really fun part. What made woke so popular? Okay, folks, I know you guys have some opinions on this, including you, Melinda.
Oh, I've got big opinions on what's making woke popular. Really big opinions, because it's easy to be woke. You don't have to do anything. You can just pretend that you're an amazing person.
Absolutely. Well, they endorse their beliefs on all platforms. So all of you who are watching the show, please don't believe woke is gone. Not only are they not gone, they still control most of the media. They still control most of the news. They still control most government agencies, non-government agencies, especially those with in community services, awards. and they are not giving up easily. We have got to fight this battle. I'm not talking physically. I'm not advocating violence. Why get violent when you can be smart? One of the things about being a social psychologist, we can use our evil knowledge for good. But we have to do it. We cannot passively expect woke to just go away. They control too much. And they constantly affirm themselves as the good guys and their deeds as righteous. And they dominate all of this. Mainstream media, corporate culture, education system, community care, law enforcement, government agencies. And their prevalence normalizes their values. The way the brain works, when we are exposed to something in multiple venues, in multiple contexts, it encourages our brain to adapt, which is one of the reasons I've said it's been tough not being woke up to now. Even, God, can you imagine how wealthy I'd be if I were woke with the same platform? Oh my God, they'd love me. But to not be woke, I have to remove myself from woke environments. I don't read woke books, don't watch woke TV shows, because I know my brain, the part of my brain, the limbic system, primal brain, have no filter. If I keep exposing it to those parts of my brain, to woke values, it will still adapt. That's what it's designed to do. It does not listen to the problem-solving neocortex frontal lobe with the PhD. Those parts of my brain don't have a PhD. They just take in and adapt to what they're around. I had to share this picture with you.
Oh my goodness! Of all the pictures, nice.
Quintessential woke. Woke manipulates. It aims to weaken interpersonal bonds. How many times did we hear people over the holidays, people in leadership positions, people with TV shows, advocating not spending time with your relatives over the holidays if they voted for Trump? So it wants to weaken your interpersonal bonds with anyone who's not part of the group. I'm not going to call them a cult because that's too easy, and that's the kind of thing they do. And although in many ways they fit the definition, we don't need that. We can just call it a group and we still get the point across. It limits critical thinking because you have to shut off parts of your brain in order to remain woke. And it maximizes group dependence. The weirder they get, and the more they celebrate weirdness, the more, if you are weird, you can't be around other people because you will not get that level of acceptance. And we see a person here, obviously woke, vandalizing a Tesla truck. I am so glad this person's not on our side. I do not want to claim anybody that looks like that and acts like that, okay?
Yeah, and you know, the really interesting thing, Dina, is that we have been conditioned as the politely obedient, normal part of society. We've been conditioned over the last 20 years to tolerate, tolerance. You know, it gets to the point where you know, anyone that isn't extreme is not allowed to have an opinion anymore. But the thing is, now that has done us so much damage that everyone now who has a voice needs to come up and speak out about that extremity and say that they don't actually accept it or want it anymore. And I think that's going to be courageous for some people. But when you see that photo, you know, he thinks that he gets his get out of jail free card and that nobody can say anything because he's dressed like that, he looks like that, and he thinks that exempts him from bad behavior.
And in many crowds it would. And Roscoe said, I shouldn't have done that picture because now he's scarred.
Yeah, I think I might be a little bit with you on that one. I think I'm a little bit with you on that one, Roscoe.
Then we have Rachel Ziegler here, who said, misdeeds are accepted or even encouraged. Now, most people who had a children's film coming out in previous eras would not be allowed or encouraged to alienate more than half the population of the country where they're actually releasing the film and use bad language. She ended her statement online. She tweeted this. She posted this. He said, don't use tweet, call it post. Okay, we posted this. And it ends with F Donald Trump. Now, she's supposed to be Snow White. Her movie bombed.
And, and I think
Okay,
that's another. That's another defining moment, isn't it? That Disney's now bombing. Disney's wokeism is now bombing for them too. I think
because they don't give up easily. They don't give up easily.
What is this? Why didn't you can't even see this photo properly? It's almost like
the Women's March, and here we have a woman dressed like a vagina. Okay.
Oh, is that what that is? I'm thinking. I actually don't know. Now oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Now I see it. I see it. Oh no.
Issues. Mental health, bad circumstances, insecurity, social outcasts, and people who faced discrimination or believe they face discrimination. Sometimes people will attribute something to a discrimination because they're told to by the woke, and it was actually something that they were doing wrong that they could fix. Here's another one. Okay, I'm going to have to give Roscoe therapy for free.
Hard today. You're hitting us hard today. You're hitting us hard, I've got to say.
A Canadian guy who has a sexual fetish for dressing like a woman with Z-cup breasts, and he's a shop teacher at a high school. And because of our current woke climate, and especially in Canada, he was going to class dressed like this, and people felt that they couldn't say anything. Because woke leadership tells them, we see you. We value you just as you are. And here's the really important part. We'll get the world to accommodate you.
Yeah, we're all fitting into that. We're all fitting. We've all got to fit in. We've all got to adjust ourselves for your fetishes, for your mental illness. I mean, look, this is just
personality. And let's just quickly go through, because I want to show people. Now, again, if we have a space, we can talk about this at length, because I want to show you what's going on there. Many woke people suffer from cluster B personality disorders. It includes narcissistic, histrionic, borderline, and antisocial. Now, these are terms used in psychology, okay? Now, go back over this, since it's going to be recorded, and it'll be up tomorrow on Rumble. I'll see about posting it on X, because it has a lot of important information. So we have narcissist, and it has it defined. So it's not just being self-centered. Histrionic is that extreme attention seeking. Those people, get up. That's histrionic. Okay. Borderline, unstable moods, impulsive, and they have love-hate fixations. You know, a lot of psychologists, most psychologists, will not treat borderline personality disorder because they will fixate on their therapist, and it can become quite dangerous. Antisocial, the aggressive, exploitative, deceitful, controlling people. As I said, don't worry that I changed the slides. You can go back and look at it, and you can screenshot it, okay? Characteristics consistent across cluster B: pathological jealousy, envy, manipulativeness, dishonesty, and volatility. So does that sound like those woke people to you? And also, in case that wasn't bad enough, Roscoe says it's insane. They're insane. Dark tetrad is what it's called. These are 4 conditions that are among personality disorders, go into psychopathology, narcissism, but we're going to describe what kind of narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sadism. Well, sorry about that. When I change my slides over to put them here, it changes them a little bit. I do apologize. You can still see it. It's malignant narcissism, and we talked about that in a previous episode. So the malignant narcissist is much more unprincipled, will do anything to get their way, and they have a level of vindictiveness that is terrifying. Machiavellianism, they take pleasure in manipulating others to achieve their goals. Deceitful and heartless. Psychopathy, they're exploitative, dishonest and cruel, no empathy, no remorse. and sadism, they enjoy inflicting pain. Woke leadership arouse their followers through triggering emotion and primal drives. Like primal drives equals fear, anger, hunger, desire, longing for unity with a group, all of that. And then they set them against their opponents. Look at this meme that I found of Elon Musk. And it says, they said our goal is to bankrupt Elon Musk. Not possible. All he has to do is sell his stock, and he's still the richest man in the world. And some of you are asking, no bipolar. Yeah, I was going to put bipolar on there. I ran out of space. Yes, bipolar is on there also as far as the personality disorder. Bipolar involves a lot of mood swings and depression. So yeah, I guess I probably should have put bipolar there. Thanks, Roscoe. Trump and MAGA won big. Trump and MAGA will begin to impact cultural influences, but it won't happen on its own. Why should we wait? We only have a few years to get this entrenched. And until the Department of Government Efficiency, it wasn't known by most of us. I certainly didn't know this. Did you know that most woke causes are sponsored with American tax dollars? That includes in Australia. Look at the big hullabaloo about Australian universities getting hundreds of millions of dollars in American tax money.
Yeah.
Why? And it's these super lefty universities. Yeah. The Act Blue, the Democrat National Conference, Democrat National Committee. Democrat National Committee, aka on X. Actually, this is just one page. This, if you follow this person on X, he actually listed page after page of people and organizations being funded by the Democrats to promote wokeism. It says every single person on this list is on salary, receiving payments from the DNC to promote left-wing propaganda. Without paid sponsorship, keep in mind, without this paid sponsorship, with Doge coming in and pulling that money away, won't seem as widely accepted. Again, but we can be more proactive. I want to be involved in this. I want to use my social psychology to start displacing some of that destructive woke ideology out of our culture. But even without me, it'll happen eventually. It'll happen faster with me, but woke won't seem as widely accepted. And this is going to impact saturation levels. So you won't see as much woke content. Social proof, because a lot of people will only promote, because you have a lot of psychopathy and dark tetrad among people who are being paid and who people in leadership. If they're not getting paid to promote wokeism, they're not going to promote it. So the social proof of thinking everybody else believes this is going to start waning. The attention, approval, and acclaim, award ceremonies, paying attention to any woke cause, like with the BBC and drag queens. Every other news story on BBC is about drag queens. It's like you would think that 70% of UK is drag queens, according to how they do things. They're constantly giving them attention, approval, and acclaim. Expert and celebrity endorsements. You saw that those celebrities that were supporting Kamala Harris were all paid millions of dollars. And of course, organization support is going to fall as well, because we have a president who's a businessman and wants all businesses to really support policies that are going to improve their businesses. And wokeism has never been conducive to good policy. Don't deceive yourself that you or your loved ones cannot or won't be influenced. Please, please, please. All of us are influenced. Just knowing I'm teaching you this, it's not enough. You've got to get them out of that environment. And this is from thecollegefix.com, which has wonderful political cartoons. So you see a young person going off to college and he comes back and he's full Karl Marx. And that's exactly what's happening. The universities are still fully committed to brainwashing our young people. So come on, Melinda, we still got some minutes left. Let's hear from you,
Oh,
Roscoe. Thank you.
oh, what a show! What a show! I love the fact that we're delving into some of these personality types, Dina, because I think that this all goes back to a little bit of science around wokeism. Like yes, we see the photos, we have a bit of a giggle, but then when we really get down to the seriousness of what's going on, it is, and it has been tearing our society apart because it is about identity politics and it's not about being a good person. And I almost think that wokeism is almost like a giant projection because when you actually have a look at some of those traits that you were putting up before about the types of people who are woke, it's almost like they're trying to tell everyone they're the opposite. And there's got to be something around that. Didn't Freud call that projection? It's almost like that saying, if you have to say it, if you have to keep coming out and telling people how great you are by virtually doing nothing, that maybe means that you're quite the opposite. And that's what really struck me with some of these, with a lot of the definitions. And there's a real science behind this,
Well, I would say too, I've seen something that said, and speaking of projection, every accusation by a Democrat is a confession.
Of
So
course. Of
the
course.
Democrats,
Yes.
the left, the woke are constantly accusing people of things that they are doing. You see that also in abusive relationships.
Yes.
One of the things we talked about, the hyper jealousy. I mentioned that a lot of the personality types with these people that they are very jealous. With the more they cheat, the more they suspect their partner of cheating, and the more they lie, steal. I mean, look at the fact that one of the FBI guys that was really prominent in accusing Trump of being a Russian plant was actually convicted of being paid off and influenced by Russia.
There you go.
But you see it
Right
all
there.
along.
You do.
And
You see it all
please,
the time.
everyone,
Yeah.
let tolerance be a bad word for you. If I could teach you one thing, tolerance is not a good thing. Tolerance means letting someone else define something for you and not looking into how it affects you and your loved ones. Acceptance is fine, but acceptance requires research. Melinda's always talking about this. Don't be lazy. Okay. Lazy will cost you. Look at our woke world. We have lost generations and so much time of innovation, social growth, all behind wokeness that takes us nowhere good. It's taking us to the edge of destruction, in fact. The left, I
Absolutely.
feel, they used to be about helping the poor. It always claimed. But you know what? They never really did. Because, I mean, the left were behind changing welfare rules. And so now you have generations of people with no aspirations, no sense of purpose, no intact families. And when you make a mistake, it's like, I'm going to add bipolar to the slides before I air it, okay? Because Roscoe was right. When you make a genuine mistake, you correct it. And when the left saw what those welfare rules were actually doing to communities like the Black community, still now they never really tried to correct it. Because it says the left woke cares more now about affluent minorities, and particularly upper middle class trans, say above someone who happens to be poor. Oh, the left doesn't care about poor white people at all. You don't exist. You're privileged. Okay. Oh my God. But yeah, let's do a spaces about this. And any last words before we go, Melinda? Because we're going to keep going. I have more to teach you about this because you need to be able to go up to somebody who's woke and they say, you need to be able to say something back to get them to back down, to get them to take a moment to think. And it's going to cause them pain, so they may get mad at you. But I'm sure you guys are brave. You can handle this. What do you think?
Absolutely. Guys, we can all handle it. We're growing in numbers, and the number of people speaking out is growing and growing every day. But, my biggest takeout of today was what you just said. Don't think tolerance is a good thing. Don't think the word tolerance and being tolerant is necessarily making you a good person. I think that's a very powerful message. I hope everyone can gather that message. I'm certainly going to put that out there myself a lot more. So thank you for that. That was a very good point.
Well, I will see you all next week. And I am on X at Dr. Dina 1 on X. You can contact me. You can contact me on my website. Here we go. And I will see you all next week.
Bye.